It was another late night. Frank stood impatiently as the crime scene photographer took snapshots of the turned-over funeral parlor, carefully lining up his digital SLR with the trained grace of a pro, the speed of a sloth. What was he trying to do, win a Pulitzer or something? It's just a damn robbery. A sick and twisted one, yes, but a robbery nonetheless. The place, Kojak's funeral home, a quiet, out-of-the-way little gray brick number, had seen the latest visit by the nefarious stranger. The one following through in a bizarre laundry list of goods that made no sense to anyone with half a brain. Even Frank couldn't make heads or tails of it. All his experience amounting to nothing more than a hill of beans. His years of being on the force looked like a day at the ballet would match up against this weirdo stealing chemicals, plastics, and now parts of a recently deceased young girl.
Tell you what, Jimmy, this sicko must be making one hell of a pizza.
Frank shook his head. He was done waiting for the photographer, turning instead to his partner, doing the good cop routine of taking notes on as much of the scene as he could.
The kid writes a mean notepad, I'll give him that.
What do you mean, partner?
Jimmy asked without looking up from his writing.
Formaldehyde sauce, plastic cheese, and now a side of leg on top.
Now Jimmy looked up.
That's disgusting, Frank.
Crime's disgusting, kid. Especially the kind that could break into a funeral home and steal the only decent parts left from a poor car crash stiff like we had here.
The corpse that had been looted, a young girl in her teens, had been the unfortunate victim of a fatal car wreck, her young life tragically cut short by a drunk driver. Her body mostly mangled beyond recognition. Only parts of her safe for public viewing were on the side not struck by the speeding Ford. A leg and an arm, both from her left side. It was a sick world they lived in, that a sweet and innocent girl could be so brutally taken from this life, cut down by a pathetic excuse for a human being who never listened in driver's ed. Frank, like a few months alone with that punk, had even asked for such, but it wasn't his beat, wasn't his department, wasn't even his specialty. There were others that could show the scum what he deserved, a little jail cell courtesy. He could at least take solace in that.
Frank, you hear me?
Jimmy asked, snapping him out of his thoughts of Death Wish-style revenge on a city that kept trying to break his spirit.
Of course I hear you, kid. I'm just doing a little detective work here.
Well, what do you
I
think?
think we need to compare the jobs we got here from what happened 2 years ago. See if there's any kind of pattern, any clue to where this guy might strike next.
He'd pulled a file a week ago after the first robbery, but dismissed any connection when the blood lab hadn't been hit. He thought that perhaps he was seeing something that wasn't there. He wouldn't make that mistake again. This was the third break-in now. The pattern was starting to look the same as that rush of burglaries that had baffled them so 2 years ago. But those that ended suddenly with a mysterious house fire. They found human remains, assumed that the perp had been burnt to a crisp inside. But the road to hell was paved with assumptions.
I thought you said that was a dead end.
Some dead ends just won't die, and this one's a real zombie.
They searched over the room, dusting for prints, looking for anything else that might have been missed, but their initial assessment had been right. Some oddball had come in here, stolen body parts, and left all kinds of valuables sitting around untouched. Paintings, a flat-screen TV, a safe. The kinds of things a normal crook would go for in the first pass. It was a clue in a language Frank didn't speak.
There's an answer here. Something we're not seeing, and I'm sure it's the identity of our necrophiliac.
Oh, God, do you think it's a sex thing?
Someone got his rocks off tonight. Whether it was from the corpse or the job, I bet they left with a smile on their face.
Well, the night watchman said he didn't see anyone.
I'd like to talk to this watchman who can't watch.
Jimmy and Frank walked around to the funeral director's office, where a couple of paramedics were talking with a black man in a black and gold trimmed security guard uniform. One was flashing a light in the man's eyes, the other wrapping gauze around his head.
You up for some questions, Doc?
Yeah, I'm a first responder, not a doctor.
Spare me the medical mumbo jumbo. What I want to know is, can a man talk?
Two paramedics looked at each other, but the guard said, "It's okay, I can handle it. My name is Isaiah Washington. What do you need, officer?"
What I need is a description of the punk that did this.
"I'm sorry, I never saw that. I was just making my rounds, and then bam, out like a
I
light."
don't think he could tell us that much, Frank. They blindsided.
I tell you what, though, I thought this job was going to be right place, right time, you know? Like, who's going to rob a funeral parlor? Heck, after that last gig at the lab, I thought this was a safe bet. Who'd have thunk I'd get conked in the head twice?
Sounds more like right place, wrong time tonight.
I'd say more like the wrong place, right time, for crime.
Isaiah winced as he turned his head from side to side. Looks to me more like I just got the bad luck to get wrong place and wrong time again.
Two wrongs never make a right, but these two rights always catch the wrong.
If you're done, officers, we're going to take this man in for some tests. He may have a concussion, the paramedic said.
No further questions, Your Honor.
I'm not a judge either.